Hello everyone, Nancy here with A Joyful Cottage. I'm in my craft room this morning and I'm getting ready to work on a makeover for my porch. This is going to be an interesting video and it's one that I've been wanting to do for some time now. I told you in one of my videos where I showed you my spring refresh that I was going to make slip covers for my ottoman and for my pillows. So I have this wonderful fabric that I found. I love it, this pink. I'm going to be using this to make my fabric pieces. And I thought it would be fun to just do the whole thing in one shot. We're going to make the slip covers. We're going to paint furniture. We're going to decorate. We're going to just have fun and make my front porch into something that really reflects my taste and something I think I'll really enjoy over the summer. So hang with me this morning and we'll get going. So my original intent was to make pillow covers for my pillows like this that are enveloped style. Like just put the pillow inside. However, once I laid this fabric over the pillow, I realized that you could see through it. So you'd be able to see the original pillow cover through the new cover. So I decided instead of making covers that I would just make new pillows, and I've got plenty of filling that I can use for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm using this pillow here. I got these for 29 cents each at Walmart after Christmas, and I'm not going to use them like they are. However, they unzip and I have filling inside, which I'm going to use for my new pillows. So that is what I'm going to do with that. So I have pre-washed this fabric. It's ready to go. All I have to do is just cut out my pieces, sew them together, and fill it, and that's going to be new pillows. So let's get going. So I want my finished pillows to be 16 by 16. And I've cut out a square 17 by 17. I'm going to use a 1-inch seam allowance. And the reason I'm doing a 1 inch is because this fabric does have a tendency to fray. And I want to make sure that I've got plenty of allowance in my seam so that if it does fray, it won't interfere with the integrity of the pillow. So I can also do some other things to ensure that it doesn't fray beyond a certain amount, but I'm going to go ahead and just cut this off and we'll go from there. I'm using the previously cut fabric as a template rather than trying to measure and cut each individual piece. It just makes it easier and quicker not to have to measure. I like to use my cutting mat and my rotary cutter to do this rather than my scissors. It just makes it much quicker, much easier. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and cut out all 4 pieces while I have all my equipment out. All right, so now I've got 2 pillows cut out. So I've taken 2 pieces of fabric and I've placed them together, right sides together, and I'm going to pin it just to hold it together, and then I'm going to go to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew these up. I'm leaving an opening where I can fill the pillow with filling, so I've marked it with 2 pins so I don't forget to do that. Okay, so now I've got my pieces sewn together, and I'm going to turn my pillow inside out. And I'm just going to take a popsicle stick and I'm going to push those corners. Kind of fill that in so it has a nice point on it. And I'll do that on all four sides. I've got my corners the way I want them, and now I'm going to go ahead and stuff my pillow. Poly filling is pretty expensive by the bag, so I was pleased to find this deal on these pillows from Walmart. 29 cents is pretty cheap to be able to get filling. I'm just going to stuff it right in there. I'm really going to pack it in because I want these nice and full. It's looking pretty good. A little bit more. I'm just pushing it in. And I'm going to take this little brush I have with the handle, and I'm just going to push that down in that corner. When I've got it the way I want it, it'll be ready to close up. Now at this point, you could sew this shut. I am going to hand sew it. I'm going to do a slip stitch. And the reason I'm going to do that is because if I ever want to wash these pillows, it'll be easier just to take the thread out than it would be if it was sewn on a machine. And I'm doing that because I know that the covering is washable, but I'm not sure about the filling. So I don't want to risk that. I'm going to just go ahead. It's a beautiful day outside. And later on, I'll just go ahead and sew these up by hand. I'll just sit in my chair out there on the porch and enjoy it. So that's the first pillow. I just do the same thing with the second one. So I've brought my ottoman into my craft room and I'm going to measure it for the fabric. So the top is 22 inches long. Remember, I'm doing a 1-inch seam allowance. So I'm going to add 2 inches to that, so that'll be 24. And this way, it's 18. So I'll be doing, again, 2 inches added on to that, it'll be 20. So the top will be 20 by 24, and I've got that piece cut out. So that's the top piece. And then the side pieces are the same length as the top. So 24 inches this way, 20 inches this way. And I've got those cut out as well. So I've got all my pieces cut out for the top. Right. So now I'm going to measure for the bottom. I know it's 20 by 24. So I'll add those numbers together and then I'll cut my long piece of fabric accordingly. So I've got my fabric laid out on the floor here, and it's about 68 inches long by 22 inches wide. And there's 2 layers here. This was the second yard that came in the packet of 2 yards that I purchased. So I'm going to cut the length in half to have 2 pieces, and then I will sew those together And I think that'll make a nice gathered skirt. And also I'm leaving enough allowance for a good sized hem because I want it to look good. So that's my next step, is to cut this in half. Okay, so now I'm going to sew the 4 pieces of my band together, and I want to make sure that I've got the 24 next to the 20 inch. And I've got my pins in there. And again, I'm doing a 1 inch seam allowance. Okay. Okay, so I've got that portion done. Okay, so now I'm going to add another section, placing a 20 inch over a 24 inch. Okay. All right, so now I've got 3 pieces. I'll add one more. Now I am kind of watching the pattern to see if there's a certain way that I should be joining these. But the pattern is really pretty random. There's nothing that's repeated in such a way that would be obvious to looking at the finished product. So I'm just going to go ahead and look at this, and it looks like it's pretty decent. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and add this. Okay, so now I've got all 4 pieces sewn together, and now all I have left to do now is just sew the end together. Make sure that it's straight. Okay. All right, so there's my band. I fitted my top to the ottoman, and it looks pretty good. I may have to ease in a couple areas when I sew it, but I'm going to go ahead and put it together and see how it looks. I'll get a video of sewing the band to the top because I guess I forgot to hit the record button, so I apologize for that, but here it is. It's not perfect, but I think it's going to work out. I have one side of the skirt sewn, and now I'm going to sew the other side. Now I'm going to sew 2 rows of basting around the top of the skirt so that I can use that to gather it. And now I'm just gently pulling that thread, letting the fabric kind of bunch up, and then I'm spreading it out. This takes patience because you don't want your thread to break. And I'll just keep pulling this and gathering this until I've got the whole skirt gathered. So I'm just holding on to one thread. And I want to point out here that I've got two threads I'm pulling on either end of the stitching that I did. So I'm pulling on either end and pushing the fabric as I pull. So that's how I gather. I just wanted to show you that. It's coming from both sides. Now I've got my skirt pinned to the top, and I'm going to sew it. The last step in this ottoman slipcover project is to sew the hem. So I'm folding up the material about where I want the hem. I don't want it to drag on the floor, but I want it to cover most of the stool. So I'm just pulling it up, pinning it. I'm going to go all the way around, and then I'm going to press this so that I have a nice fold, and then I'll work on the hem. So here what I'm doing is I'm trimming this fabric off. I've got way too much fabric for the hem. So I'm going to trim it down 3 inches. And I've got my template and I've got my cutting mat, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut 3 inches all the way around. I just want this to be more manageable. Yep. So I'll just keep doing that all the way around until I have it trimmed down to 3 inches. So I've pressed the edge of my hem. I've folded it over. And I'm going to sew my hem, and I'm going to stitch close to the top here. Damage to the arms and also on the back and on this arm. So my solution was to cover that up for now, because long term I'd like to get new chairs. That probably won't happen until next year. So I just decided that I would do something creative and cover up these bad spots. So I have this cut work embroidery that I got from Goodwill, and I'm going to cover up the back of the chair with that. And then on the arms, I have some leftover fabric from my pillows and slipcover, so I just kind of laid it over the arm to get an idea of how long I need it to be, and with a 5/8 inch seam I think that'll work. So that's how that's my complicated, or that's my sophisticated way of figuring out what I need for an arm cover. So basically what I did was just sew a tube to the other chair. Like I said, I'm going to try to replace both of them next year. And this one is in such great condition. I didn't want to paint it white and then have the paint chipping. And once you paint the this is fall wicker, this is that plastic wicker. And once you paint it, then you know you have to keep it up. And I think I can probably resell this just as it is. It's in, like I said, such great shape. So I'm not painting this one. And I know some of you probably will think that's not a good idea, but that's my decision right now. So I wanted to show you the chair once I got the arm pads made and the damaged areas covered up. I just thought it turned out really, really cute. I love the vintage look of it, and I really feel like this can get me through another season. So, you know, use your imagination when you see something. I painted this a while back, and I wanted to show you the painting process, but somehow that got lost, that video. So I don't know. But I ended up putting almost 3 coats on it to cover up the brown that it was. So anyway, that is my cute white wicker chair, all dressed up in vintage cottage. The arm pad onto the chair, I tacked a ribbon onto the bottom of the pad and tied it onto the chair. So this is the little table that I'm going to use on the porch, and I had to glue some things together. This piece here was completely off the table, so I glued that on, and I clamped it down and put something heavy on it last night and let it sit in my shed overnight, and now I'm going to paint it. So I've got this table ready to paint, and I've got some spray paint left over from the chair, and I'm going to go ahead and use that. I've set up kind of a little spray booth here in my shed, and we're going to just spray paint this and see what happens. After the first coat dried, I gave it a second coat. So the fabric pieces are sewn, the furniture is painted, and we're ready to start decorating. hope today's video was an encouragement to you. Perhaps it's inspired you to do some sewing or to decorate your porch or some outdoor space that you have. Lately, I've been getting more comments from you. I appreciate so much your kind words and your encouragement. And I want to tell you also that for those of you who have asked for prayer, I do pray for you. I do have a list that I keep, and I do lift you up before the Lord. I know some of you are struggling with life issues, and I certainly understand how difficult that is. I've been through enough of those myself. But I have found encouragement in Scripture, and especially in Romans 8:28, which I want to share with you now. And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to His purpose. I have found in my own life that even during the times when I think there's no good that can come out of a situation, there is ultimately good that comes. Sometimes it's for my own benefit, sometimes it's for the benefit of others. Sometimes God uses it for His purpose of calling me to a certain work that He wants me to do, some service for Him, to minister to other people. So, wherever you are right now, whatever you're dealing with, know that God sees you, He loves you, He has a purpose for the pain. It may seem overwhelming, and perhaps you just don't see it, but God does, and He will bring good from it. You can count on that. He is faithful. So here we are, another end to a video. I hope that you will go this week and enjoy your life, trust in God, be kind to others, be kind to yourself, enjoy this beautiful season that we have, and I'll see you again soon. God bless you.